Hi, everybody. I'm so excited that you're here for Night Owl Quilting tonight. Oh, I have so much to show you, so much to talk about, as always. But I am thrilled to have you here joining me. It's been so long. I said the same thing with daytime quilting. I feel like we were busy with this, with the Christmas challenge and the 12 blocks quilt the season, the 12 blocks of Christmas, and had so much fun with that. And we had a couple of sew-alongs, and we had some things going on, but we didn't have night owl quilting, and we didn't have daytime quilting during the past few weeks. So I am just so happy to be back here with you. I love this stuff. I love being here and talking to all of you. I love seeing your comments and your chat. I will tell you tonight, Alex is on the other end at home, and he's helping me out. But Terry is working tonight. So he called to check and make sure everything was all set up, and it is. But it's always scary when he's not here. So anyway, I'm hoping that I get everything right and I'm able to switch my camera and do everything I need to do to show you what I need to show you. If not, we'll just delay it until he can help out. But as far as I know, I think I'm good to go. Our issue is that I have only one camera. And so I have to take the camera and I have to flip it so that you can see what I'm doing when I do the down view. And we're going to be talking about, actually, I'm going to do a tutorial and show you how to use the Rapid Fire Lemoyne Star Ruler by Deb Tucker, which I absolutely love. So we talked about it in daytime quilting, and I told everybody if they were interested in coming back, I would do an actual tutorial to show them how to use the ruler. Although I'm telling you, it's really easy. I'll show you the directions are kind of long. There are a lot of directions, but you know, when you watch it and you read it, I think it makes a huge difference. It's easy to do. So anyway, first of all, let's get started on what's going on. Night Owl Quilting. If you are new to Night Owl Quilting, please let us know that you're new, and we want to welcome you. We're so glad that you're here and that you're joining us tonight. Night Owl Quilting used to take place at 10 p.m., but that was really late for our East Coast people. It's still kind of late now, but we moved it to 9 p.m. Central Time because that's my time zone. And we meet on the second and the fourth Mondays of the month, unless something comes up that we can't. But for the most part, we try and keep that regular. What we do in this particular session is usually I might have a project or something, a tutorial, something I'm explaining. Sometimes I will demonstrate a tool or give you a quilting tip. And then I will also have a quilting tip on Tuesday that's recorded that you can watch as well. That's got all the mistakes cleaned up out of it. So first of all, tomorrow our quilting tip I think is really fun. It's basically what I did was there's been several like Spotify and all of these different companies that actually send out what were the top, like Casey Kasem, the top 40 hits for a particular year. So what I thought we would do is I actually looked up the top videos that we had for 2024. Now, not only did I include the top videos, I think there's 10 of them. There's the top 10 videos, but I gave you how many views we had, as well as some positive comments and then some negative comments. And there were some negative. I can laugh about those now. But at the time, sometimes they're a little difficult when you're reading these negative comments and you're thinking, oh, geez, was I really that bad? But anyway, so I have those listed, and you can guess which one of the videos actually were the top videos that were most watched, plus the video that was least watched in 2024, which was kind of the disappointment to me. I don't know. I thought it was a good video, but whatever. And then also there's a blooper at the end. And we don't usually include the bloopers, but this one was kind of funny. And it just happened. Everything was going so perfectly, as they always do. And then something always seems to get in the way. So we just put that in for a little comic relief. That will be released tomorrow. So anyway, all that aside, today we are talking, this is a preview, a promo, a pre-opening to Scrapbusting season. Joyful and Merry Quilting, we have taken upon ourselves to designate January 20th, which is Blue Monday, as the opening of Scrapbusting season. Now, at the end of the year and once the new year starts, many times we see people that are setting goals for themselves. I've got to use up my stash. I need to get my scraps organized. I don't want to buy anything until I've used what I have. And that is a very, very, very good way to approach quilting, because we can get so overwhelmed when it comes to all the fabrics that we have, and we always want to buy more. We want to get more. And we have these beautiful scraps that are left over. And sometimes people think, oh, that's just garbage. But think about it. If you have scraps that are left over, you pay just as much for those, excuse me, those scraps as you paid for the piece of fabric. I mean, that was all part of the package. It wasn't like you paid for the pieces you used and didn't pay for these. You paid for these as well. Why not use them? So last year in 2024, we started scrap busting season. Now, why Blue Monday, and what is Blue Monday? Blue Monday was kind of an ad at one time. I think it was for a car dealership, where they were trying to see what it was, what people thought about after the new year was over, the holidays were over, and the third Monday of January kind of was designated as the saddest day of the year, which is really kind of bizarre, But think about it. The holidays are over. Bills are coming due from the holidays. And many of us who set New Year's resolutions, I don't set New Year's resolutions, I set goals for the year. But if you set New Year's resolutions, oftentimes by the third Monday, it was figured out, I guess, that people they'd already given up on those resolutions. So it was a very sad day. And then this dealership, I guess, was trying to make it happy. And I don't know what they did with it or how they did it, but they were trying to turn that around. And I thought, oh, as quilters, do we go through those kinds of things as well? I mean, are we kind of sad because we have projects that we never completed? Are we sad because we bought a ton of fabric that we didn't use? Are we sad because our scrap bin is overflowing and we can't even look in there? First of all, because there are all kinds of pieces. They're all fabrics and colors all mixed together. They're usually just thrown in the bin, so they're kind of a wrinkled up mess. And we see it sitting over in the corner. We can't throw them away because we paid for those, but we just don't have the oomph to use them. So that's where I'm here to help you. And that's what we want to do. Now, last year I came up with a scrap busting handout that kind of illustrated the way that I scrap bust. And this year I have a new one. So this is going to be something that anybody who wants it can have it for free. This is it. This is the scrap busting system. And what you can do is go to joyfulandmaryquilting.com/challenge. Okay, so that's where you can download this. If you're not on our mailing list, you may have to enter your email address anyway. We have to know that you're a real person. The problem is that we don't want, robots or spammers to get in there and infect our site. So we take your email address, that's it, your name and email address, and then you can click on the link to download this scrap busting handout. And it's got everything. And I will show you this. We'll have a future, this is just a preview for Night Owl Quilters. We haven't really officially started this yet. So I'm just sharing this with you right now. And what it is I just have all the different ways that you can take your scraps and organize them, whatever works for you. Now, I've had people say, I don't organize anything. I just like it in the bin. I just pull them out as needed. Great. If that works for you, that's pretty easy. You don't have to do much with that. I have had other people that say, oh, I only sort by color, but I never sort by size. Great again, because some people don't want to cut the pieces up. What if I need a little bit bigger piece? So that's one issue. And then the other thing is that sometimes when we are scrap busting or we're trying to look at what we have some pieces that we don't even necessarily think of as scraps because they're more pre-cuts that have been cut into a little bit. So they still look pretty good. And what do we do with those? What do we do when we've used part of them, but we haven't used all of them? They're like a little too big to cut into strips or tiny squares. They're not big enough to be called a particular size or pre-cut. We'll talk about that. So that's going to be coming up. That will be one of our videos coming up in the next couple of weeks. This whole time is dedicated to scraps. So I might show you a ruler that you can use with scraps, a pattern that you can use with scraps, a block that you can use with scraps. That's all part of scrap busting season. And it starts with this handout. So what happens is, before you click on all of this, when you go to joyfulandmerryquilting.com/challenge, enter your name and your email address, then you will be shortly, it takes a little bit to send it to you. We will send you the download, the PDF link so that you can download this. But then there's a video there. Now, the video is actually an explanation of our challenge. And that's the fun part. Now, this is great. I mean, if you want to do your, we want you to organize your scraps for sure. But the fun part is the 30-day challenge. Last year it was 21 days. This year it's 30. Only because I give you some extra days in there to kind of catch up. Last year, some people were like, oh, I'm behind. I can't get done. So what we did is we just kind of spaced it out a little bit more. Okay, so it starts, registration for the challenge opens on January 20th, our Blue Monday. So that will be when you can register. Then there will be a time period, 2 weeks, that everybody can register. And then we actually start everything on Monday, February 3rd. And there's all sorts of fun things that we're going to do when it comes to that. Now, if you only want the free handout and you've got your own system and your own pattern and you know what you're going to do for scrap busting season, great. I am still going to be here to help you in our tutorials and in our YouTube lives and that sort of thing, if you're interested. But if you want to be a part of the party, which is our scrap, it's the challenge this year. Last year it was called Embracing Our Scraps. This year it's called Discovering Stars Among the Scraps. And this is the quilt behind me. And I am telling you, this is so much fun. Now, if you look at it, it looks like a hunter's star pattern, and it is. But I have really fun and easy. That's kind of a difficult pattern. And if you look up videos on it, it's not easy. And I'll tell you, even though some of the videos make it sound like it's real easy, it's really not as easy as you would think to make sure that everything meshes together and you get a straight, perfect block with perfect points. So that's what I'm going to do. I am going to be the one that I'm going to show you how to make this perfect. Now look at this. I mean, these are perfect points every single time. Every single time they are going to be perfect. And I'm going to show you how to do that. And, I get so excited about this stuff because, first of all, we have a lot of new quilters here. And that is so overwhelming sometimes to be a new quilter because you don't necessarily want to do just, a 4-patch, or you don't necessarily just want to sew strips together. You want to do something fun. It looks like something that, you've worked a little hard at it, but you don't want something that's difficult. That's what this pattern is. It's not difficult if you follow my instructions, which I'm so excited about. Okay, so let me tell you a little bit about what we're going to be offering. First of all, the video, you can watch, please watch the video, because nothing is worse than not watching the video, signing up for something, and then saying, I can't believe I signed up for this. This is not what I want to do. So please watch it. It's not very long. Just watch it and see if that's something you're interested in. Then what it'll do is it will take you to the sign up if you want to sign up for the course. Now, the cool part is those of you that are watching this right now or watching it on replay, you have until the 20th, actually through the 19th, where you can get it at a special price. It's only for people that are watching this. We're not advertising this yet. So if you are if you're interested, you can sign up, you get the special deal. Then it's still a great price, even if you don't get the special deal, but it's fun to offer a special deal to people that trust me. And that's what I appreciate with you, that you trust me, that it's going to be good, it's going to be fun, and you go ahead and sign up. So thank you for doing that, if that's what you want to do. But again, if you don't want to, you certainly don't have to. I still want you to have the scrap busting system. I still want you to come to the lives and do all the fun things. The actual course that we're talking about, Discovering Stars Among Our Scraps, that actually will have some Zoom meetings. We'll have a weekly Zoom meeting where we get together and we just do some hands-on stuff where I just talk to you personally. You can ask questions. You can show off what you've completed up to that point. That will just be for those who are involved in the challenge. So we'll do that weekly through the challenge, and there will be times for that will be listed. Now, if you can't make it, I mean, I've got a couple different, each time we do it, I give you a couple different times. So hopefully you'll be able to make one of them. And then when we go through that time, you'll be able to have interaction. This is fun, YouTube, but you can only chat. Zoom, we can go back and forth and talk. So that's what I love about the YouTube. That's what I love about the Zoom chats, that we can do that. So that's all part of it. Now, we start out, if you sign up for the challenge, you're going to get a calendar with a checklist. And the calendar is going to take you from day 1 to day 30. And it's going to tell you what you need to do each day to stay in sync with what our 30-day challenge is. Well, let's say you don't find out about this until, the challenge is over. Well, you can still sign up. You just set your own 30 days. It's 30 days whenever you start it, whenever you stop it, if you're interested in taking the challenge. Maybe you don't want to do the challenge. Maybe you just want to make it. Well, you can do that too. You can just make it at your own pace. But I'm telling you, when you have somebody standing there telling you, okay, today let's do this, today let's do that, and then you come and we show each other what we've done, it really inspires us to kind of get things done, because that's what we want to do. We want to use up these beautiful scraps. Okay, so what kind of scraps? I've had people say, I'm a new quilter, I don't have any scraps. That's okay. I've got that all worked out for you. So first of all, what I'm going to do, this is do you see this here? This is actually not what I'm going to do. What I did was I had all these fat quarters that were partially used. My Riley Blake collection. I love Riley Blake. You know that. I love Lori Holt. There are so many wonderful fabrics that I have used, and the scraps go in my basket. I tell everybody, you don't want a huge basket, because if it's too big, you're never going to empty it. So I have all those in there. And what I did was I cut out the pieces that I needed to make this quilt. And this is what I came up with. And I just love it. I'm so happy with it. I'm so excited the way that it turned out. I didn't really know what was going to happen, but this is totally scrappy. So that's one option, totally scrappy. So I'm in closed quarters here. So I'm going to try and show you what I have. Okay, let's say that you don't want scrappy, you just want to buy yourself some fabric and you want to have it look scrappy. Okay, so how about if you buy a fat quarter stack? Actually, this is a fat halves, but if fat quarter stack works. And some background fabric. That's what you need for this. You need equal amounts of the scrappy fabrics of both a light or a background, or you need and then you also need the equal amount of this. And the pattern gives you all this information. I'm not going to give you that here. But if you want, you can just do that. Now, I thought this was so cool because look, these are all different light, they call them low volume fabrics. They're all different, but they're in a whole stack. And so I had this. I had already bought this, but I just thought, ooh, this would be perfect for this. And then again, this is my fat halves. So that's another option. You can just buy, you need equal amounts of this now, of your two fabrics. Okay, so that's another option. Then let's say that you've got a fat quarter stack, but you don't have any of the lights and you don't want to buy anymore. You can just use yardage for that. So I tell you in the pattern how many scraps you need or fat quarters, and how much yardage you need to make up those in between pieces. And I kind of like those because I like organized scrap. So I like the way that I like this because they're all scrappy, even though they're light. But I also like the way it looks when I've used something that's not that's just all one fabric in the background, and then and it's not the same as my colored fabrics. So that's another option. Now, let's say you don't want to do that. Let's say that you just want to, you've got a great layer cake. We're using up stuff we have, okay? Unless you don't have anything, and then you're going to have to buy it, like I said, with the stacks or whatever. But I have this great layer cake. This is Riley Blake Designs, and it's called, what's it called? Here Comes the Sun. And it's got all these beautiful fabrics. It has actually 42 squares in it. A lot of them only have 40 anymore. This one has 42. And I need almost the whole layer cake. I need 40 squares. So 40 squares I need out of this. And there were 40 in here that I can use. So I'm thinking this is really great. Then I saw that they had that same, all those different fabrics that are all different, but they're still low volume. They had that in a layer cake. But, oh, this is what I'm doing. This is for sure what I'm doing. I'm going to put these two together. Now, maybe you don't want to buy a second layer cake. Maybe you have a layer cake and you don't want to, because we're scrap busting. We're trying not to buy anything. We're trying to use what we have. So you can actually use your layer cake, whatever you have, as long as you've got dark enough fabrics. You might have to supplement it with another fabric if you don't have enough dark ones in that layer cake. That's okay. And then the yardage. Again, the pattern will tell you all that. So that's where we are now. Maybe you don't want to use fat quarters. Maybe you don't want to use large pieces. Maybe you really do want to use this bin that you have with all of your scraps in it. Look at that. That's all my scraps in there. I'm going to show you how to cut those into the pieces you need. So there's another option where you don't have to buy anything. You can use whatever you have, and I'm going to show you how to cut all the pieces that you need, and easy cuts. They're not hard to do. They just use a basic ruler. They don't use anything, you don't have to buy any special ruler or anything. Oh, I've got so much stuff here. And it works really well. Okay, so I've talked enough about all that stuff. So you'll get your outline. You will get, if you sign up today or anytime this week up through Sunday, you're not going to get all the fabric requirements and all that yet. You won't get that until January 20th when everybody else gets it. But you will get the special deal. So that's a good thing. Then once January 20th hits, we will start sending out all of the additional materials, which includes a video instruction on how to cut your fabric pieces, as well as the block instructions. It's the same block all the way. So it's just one block that we'll put together in the quilt. It's very basic when it comes to assembling the quilt, because we just have one border and we have our binding. So that part's not hard. The hard part is, and it's not hard, is just learning how to assemble the block, how to cut those fabric pieces in order to make it work. It is foundation pieced, but I will include instructions on how to do it without foundation piecing it, as long as you've got 10-inch squares that you can use. I will also include templates if you want to do template piecing. People will complain many times, you didn't tell me how to template piece. And I'm not going to, because that's not what this is about. But there are those who just don't like foundation piecing, and they know how to template piece, and they still want to be able to make the pattern and learn how to put everything together. So that will also work. But I'm telling you that if you really want to have these perfect points and everything to go together, give foundation piecing a try. I really love it. And I will show you how you need, what you need to do to make it all happen. So anyway, let me make sure that I've got everything. And Alex, hopefully he's got the links put in the chat there. I'm a little far away, so I can't see it. But I want to check my notes to make sure I don't forget anything, because that can be an issue. So basically, as I said, what I'm going to be teaching you in the course is just how to put this together perfectly. That's what you want to learn. And, again, I'm not discrediting anybody. I know a lot of people say, finished is better than perfect, and they're happy with that. But if you can make it perfect, why not? If you can put it together and make it look really good and have all your points match, why not? Let's do that, and let's do it. And I'll tell you, it doesn't take long. The entire quilt will be completed within those 30 days, the quilt top, within those 30 days easily. if you are long armor or if you're really good at quilting, also it will, you can get the whole thing done, and I will, and I did. I got it done actually in less than 30 days. It really wasn't hard, and it was really fun to do. So you can tell I'm excited about this because, first of all, I love using up my fabrics that I already have. I bought them for a reason. I bought them because I love them. I bought them because I wanted to use them. I just didn't know how. So when you actually when you go on and if you decide that you want to participate in the course, you will pay for that. You'll also be invited, if you haven't purchased the Embracing Our Scraps pattern, there will also be that will be available too. If just in case you're interested, it'll show you that. I don't know. Some of you like to use scrappy patterns, and that was really a popular one. So if you haven't heard of it or you don't have it, we're just showing it to you there that you can also purchase that pattern. That's just a pattern. It's not a course. It's just for the pattern. This is for the entire course that you'll be doing. And at the end, we'll have a show and tell. And just, we had so much fun with the Christmas challenge. I didn't want to give that up again. I thought we got to do that again. So we are going to make sure that what we do, the quilt is actually, I can't remember the size, but it's big. It's a good sized quilt. So it's, I believe, like 60 some wide and 80 some long, I think. I can't remember for sure now, and I don't have it in front of me, but it's a pretty good sized quilt. If you don't want to make it that big, you don't have to. You can cut it back and assemble fewer blocks in order to create the quilt. It's, again, totally up to you. So I'm excited, very excited about announcing that, and I just can't wait. Let's see. I know there's a couple of questions here. Oh, my sign's not plugged in. I just got an email from Terry, and he said he forgot to plug in the sign. So I'm going to do that. There we go. That was my present. And so I love that sign. I'm so excited. I'm sorry I didn't have it on. I should have known better. Anyway, now he's calling me. Hello? Oh, okay. We have some new people that are here, and he's just kind of filling me in on that. Let's see. Pardon me? Susan, welcome. Lucinda, Kay, Juanita, Leslie, Christine. My goodness, you guys, welcome. I'm so happy to have you here. See, this is why I need him here. Do we have more? Sharon, Sandra, Marianne. Pardon? Marion, Carrie. I feel like I'm at Romper Room, telling everybody hello. There might be others, but he's working, so he just took a look. So thank you so much for doing that. I appreciate that. And then, pardon? Oh, Australia, Canada, and the UK, you guys. Thanks for joining me. And you're all welcome to do this. I mean, it doesn't matter where you live. So, of course, the pattern is listed in US dollars. We get that asked occasionally. So anyway, thank you very much. Paula asked if you wanted to know if you could use an AccuQuilt to cut the pieces out. You don't need to. You don't need to. So I will show you how to do it. You do not need to. It's not that precise. So that's a good thing, right? Okay. I'm so glad, Donna. Thank you. She says it's always worth the price. And we really try and make that. I've told this story before, but I have had people that have told me that they have purchased patterns and courses for $200, $250, and they get much less than what we do. Ours is so affordable, but free doesn't pay the bills. We have so much expense when it comes to what we do here. We have to be able to cover that, and that's where we try and keep everything just as affordable as we can. I hope that y'all understand that. So thank you for that. I really appreciate that. And hopefully, I go slow in my course. I try and explain things well. But if you have questions, Mary@joyfulandmaryquilting.com. Just email me. That's all you have to do, and I will personally answer questions that you might have if I can through an email. Otherwise, we can address those in the Zoom. You can bring that up, or you can just tell me. I will be at the Zoom with my issue, and then guaranteed other people are going to need to, they're going to have the same questions. So we can go through that. That's the beauty of the Zoom. And we really wanted to get into that a little bit more than we did in the other course, because there were people that did ask me quite a few questions that I know when you hear the question being asked, you know, there's other people that need to know that as well. So anyway, so that's what we've got. I will, again, the pattern has all the dimensions. I'm not going to give those here, but I will, you can go ahead and take a look at the video. And then if you decide, yes, that you're interested in doing that, in participating, then you can sign up. And we will have that first, actually our first day, we're going to have a get together. So for the Zoom people, we will have, I think maybe it's, let me look. I'm telling you that, and I might be making that up. No, we have a live on the very first day. That will be our scrapbusting party, and that will be for everyone. So that's not going to be the pattern. But on day 2, we will have already a Zoom class for those people who have participated. Day 2, where I'm going to help you through the cutting process. And like I said, it's not hard. You don't need anything in particular other than a ruler. Okay. So if there's any other questions, please let me know, and I will do my best to answer those. Like I said, I can't see what's here, so I will try my best to help you out. Oh, and Terry just said that Christine said her son is fighting the LA fires, and oh my gosh, you know, we can't even imagine what's going on there. My father-in-law was a firefighter as well, and it's just the danger and what they do to the selfless service is just totally amazing, and we couldn't be more grateful. And you know, what can we do? I mean, if, like I said before, if we could take this all away from every one of those families that are going through this, we certainly would. Unfortunately, we can't. So we can just, you know, hope and pray that they are able to deal with what goes on, that they can stay as safe as they can, and that they can get back to a normal life eventually. It's just so tragic. So anyway, thank you for, please say thank you. And thank you, Christine. I know that that's tough for you too, especially as a mom. Okay, so that is, I believe, everything here when it comes to the scrapbusting. I hope you sign up. I would love to have you. And again, you know, watch the video and then we'll go through it. Okay, so now we're going to talk about our tutorial for today. I've tried to put things together a little bit just so that I don't have to do a whole lot of sewing while I'm showing you what we're doing. I have to do some, but not a whole lot. What I'm demonstrating is this Lemoyne star. It's called the Rapid Fire Lemoyne Star, and it's by Deb Tucker. And we have a link in the, we'll put a link in the description if you're interested. But this is the ruler, and it is a big ruler, as you can see, but it does a mighty job. And what I did was I wanted to test out if it can make it's not a real Lemoyne star because it doesn't have any set-in Y seams, but it looks just like a Lemoyne star. And in a quilt, it looks just like a Lemoyne star, even though it has some of the blocks or the squares are cut in half. But it goes anywhere from, you can make a 3-inch finished, 3.5-inch unfinished, all the way up to a 12.5-inch Lemoyne star using this tool. And you don't even have to be super accurate when you're placing and positioning things. And I'll show you that. And it comes out perfect. It comes out perfect. I'm going to show you my blocks. First of all, there's the little one. This is the 3-inch block. Look at that. Even a 3-inch, everything lines up perfectly. And I didn't have to work very hard at it. This is the 6-inch block. That's what I'm going to be demoing here, although I have different fabrics that I'm going to be using. And then this is a 10-inch block. And then it also has, like I said, the 12-inch block. So it's a great pattern. I'm going to show you the back. Oops, I forgot I pinned it. The pins are going to go flying. The back of this, you can see I have some seams that are pressed open and some that are pressed to one side. If you want to press them all open, you can. The way she shows it, this is how she does it. And I thought it just went together in a snap. So those are the ones that I have finished. I'm going to show you, and I'm going to try and turn my camera down. So let me Okay. Woohoo, I did it. Okay. I was a little worried about that turn there, but I did it. Okay, good. So this is the ruler, and you may not, you may not have this, and you may not know if you want this. So the whole purpose of the tutorial is to show you how I use it. And then if you want it, you can get it. And if you think, oh, no way, I'm not interested, you don't have to. I've already shown you what I've done with it. So like I said, it is a big, it's a big ruler. And it comes with a pretty detailed list of instructions. So this is the ruler, and it's an older ruler. I think the video that I watched of Deb Tucker's was 13 years old. So it does not have a non-skid surface on it, but I sprayed it with Grippy, and she also sells a sheet of plastic that you can put over it on her website. So that will work as well. But the Grippy, I just, sprayed it on there, and it worked really well. I did try and use the tape, the tape that you buy at the drugstore, or the little round circles. I didn't like it because when you get, this is the part that I used. This part I did not use. This is if you just want templates of the diamonds. This is the part I used for the rapid fire. And it was a little wobbly when I had the tape here, or when I used those little circles. So I took them off and I just sprayed it with the Grippy, and I like that better. Okay, if you look at the instructions, it says it's a trim down tool, which means, of course, that everything is made a little larger and then you trim back. But the waste is minimal, and it's worth it to me to be able to do that. Blocks from 3 inches to 12 inches. Now look at the instructions. They're pretty detailed. I mean, there are a lot of instructions. And I watched her video. Deb Tucker does an amazing job with her videos. And so watching her videos and following along here, I really didn't have any trouble. Now, she has a little cutting chart right here that tells you, if you have the finished block size, whatever you want it to be, what size you're going to cut your star strips. And that would be these strips right here, the star strips, and then your background strips. Okay, so you need just basically, you can use 4 fabrics or 3 fabrics. It kind of depends. This one that I did, I used 3 fabrics. I used 2 strips of the same here for the background fabric, and then I used 2 different strips for my star points. Now the other option is what I did in this one, where I used 2 different background fabrics. So 1 strip of this, 1 strip of this, 1 strip of this, 1 strip of this for the star points. And that, again, totally up to you. I just like the look. I was a little worried that putting the same fabric here would accentuate the line, but it really didn't. You didn't really see that, the seam line. So this one, you know that you're using different fabrics. Again, really great for scrappy stuff. Okay, so these are all the instructions. So let's go ahead and talk about what we're going to do here. Okay, first of all, we start out with what she recommends. Now, this is the fabric that I used originally, and I'm going to use, like I said, a different one when we start. But she says for the 6-inch block, you need 2-inch wide strips of your star fabric and 3¼ wide strips of your background fabric. Both of those need to be at least 16 inches long. Okay, so if you will need, from what I have here, 1 star fabric, 2 inches wide by 16. I made them 17 just because I wanted a little extra. The second star fabric, 2 inches by 16 inches. The first background fabric, 3¼ inches by 16. Like I said, I use 17. The second background fabric, or if you want them to be the same, you can do that too. Same thing, 3¼ by 16 inches. Okay, so those are the fabrics that you need. This will make 1 block. Okay, 1 6-inch block. Now, the first thing that we're going to do, according to the instructions, is we are going to take our 2 background pieces, and we're going to label them just with a pencil, right side up, A and B. And you can see I just wrote, because you're not going to use this. This is going to get cut off. So I wrote A up here and B up here, just so that you can keep track. Then you need to decide which fabric of your star print you want to go with A and which you want to go with B. With B, I put my blue fabric, and with A, I put my yellow fabric. Now, the next thing that you do is you take your ruler and you're going to mark, and I'll show you on this one first. You're going to mark, oops, we won't use that. Where's my pencil? Well, I had it sitting here and now it's not here. Let's just use a marker. Okay, so we've got, this is our A and this is our B. Okay, these are background fabrics. The next thing we're going to do is, since these are 3 1/4 inch wide, we're going to take our ruler and we are going to mark on the inside. On the inside, we're going to mark 3 1/4 inches down. So I'm just going to take my ruler here. I'm going to line up the 3 1/4 inch marking at the top. Let's see if I can move it down. See, oh, that didn't help, does it? There we go. Okay, so I'm going to mark that. Just make a little mark right here and a little mark right there. Okay, that is where we are going to place our star fabric strips. So I take one here, line it right up on that. I'm going to pin it. I didn't put a lot of pins in it, just enough to keep it stable. I think I used 3. And then you're going to take your other fabric and you're going to put it on this side and line it up with that little mark that you made. So now we have our fabric pieces are lined up, and we are going to sew a 1/4 inch seam all the way down from the top, all the way down to the end. And mine are a little bit off because I just used scraps and I didn't trim them back. So we'll go ahead and you're going to sew a 1/4 inch on the inside, right sides together. Remember, you place your strips right sides together and sew that 1/4 inch. So I'm going to take my pins out here because I've already done that. And this was just our sample. So here's the 2. Remember, I have B on the right. I have A and B. I started this 3 1/4 inches down because it's a 3 1/4 inch wide strip. Now, get my iron fired up. In the instructions, it tells us which way to press these because we're going to press them open. But it's important that you press them in the right directions for nesting. So we'll look in here, and it shows right here in my step 4, it says that for my A strips, I'm going to press toward the background fabric. That means you place the background fabric on the top and then press toward it. For my B strip, I'm going to press toward the star strip. Okay. So I'm going to do that. I'm going to just move this over so you can see. You really want to keep everything organized because it's easy to get off if you don't. So I'm going to keep this. I always, this is my A, this is my B. I just want to make sure that I always have them in order. Then I like to use my pressing marker, and I'm just going to take and draw all the way down on top of the seam, just to give me a little bit flatter seam. And I just love you don't have to if you don't want to, if you're not into the pressing marker. Now remember, we want this one A pressed toward the background fabric. So we're going to have background fabric on top. And I'm just going to move this so that I can easily, I've got little area here, but we're going to go ahead and press it this way. Now, these are my leftover Riley Blake B dot fabrics. I had a lot of these fabrics that I had strips left over, and there was no way I was getting rid of them. So I can only imagine how pretty this quilt will be. Now, this is going to be, again, this was pressed toward the background fabric. This one is going to be pressed toward the blue fabric, so or my strip fabric, so I'm going to put that on top and press it. That's how you know. When it tells you press toward a particular fabric, you place that fabric on top and press toward it. That means that your seam allowance is pressed toward what, or is underneath that fabric that you're talking about. Okay, so this is my B, and whoops, upside down. This is my B, this is my A. Now remember, we've got this long piece here, and that's going to get trimmed off, but we have everything laying nicely. Okay, it's all flat, everything's together. I'm going to take my ironing board away. And now we're going to take, and we are going to turn this in sideways. You want that big piece over here. We want, if we look at our instructions, it tells us that we want to make sure that we have, she gives you right-handed and left-handed instructions, which I think is really cool. I'm a right-handed person. So for a right-handed person, it says that we're going to position the strips on the cutting mat and layer the strip pairs right sides together. Background strip next to background strip and star strip next to star strip. But you'll want to know as a right-handed person to place the A strip on the top, the B strip, the A strip is on the top, and place the end mark top on the left-hand side of your cutting mat. So this is my A strip, and this is on this side. My B strip, oops, is going to go on the bottom. Okay, so we've that here, and we're going to have this here. Now you can see it looks like, is it nesting? Yes, it is. So we want to make sure that if you're left-handed, you do it the opposite way. We want to make sure we've got a nice flat nested seam here. And I'm going to take this, oh, I better leave this here so I can see it in the camera. I'm going to take this away. Okay, so we've got these nested, and now we're going to cut angles. So this is where you want to make sure that you've got everything nicely locked in before you do it. And you're going to need 2 rulers for this. You're going to need your rapid fire ruler, and you're just going to need, you know, an Omni Grid or Quilter Select or whatever that has the 45-degree line marked on it. You need the 45-degree line. So the first thing that you want to do is we are going to take this pointed end is going to be to the left, towards this cutout section. We're going to put the edge of our ruler right along that raw edge, not the seam, the raw edge. The seam is right here, and you can see that the seam is underneath my dashed line because I have a nice 1/4-inch seam. So that's how you line everything up. The raw edge is here, the seam is lined up here on that dashed line, and you want the point to be almost to the point where this intersects, where we've got this right angle. So that's a point right there. I'm going to move it down just a tad. Then you're going to take your second ruler that has that 45-degree line marked. You're going to just, first of all, you don't even have to worry about that. You're just going to snug it up right here to this ruler. So you've got these laying nicely, and then you're going to take this one away. So make sure you don't wiggle this one when you take this one away. You'll use that again. Right now, we're just going to cut. So we're going to take, and this is waste. We're just going to trim that piece off right there, and that's going to get thrown away, or if you save those scraps, you can save them. Okay, now you need to look at the instructions, and it tells you on the instructions what size cut you need to make. You need to make 4 of these because we have, you know, we have the 8 points. So we need to make 4 cuts in this piece. The cuts are going to be the same size as the strip that we cut for our star. Remember, that was a 2-inch strip. So these cuts are going to be 2-inch. We're going to take our ruler, just again, any old ruler. This is my Omni Grid ruler. I kind of like my Quilter Select better because it's non-skid. But we are going to lay that down. And you need to make sure that everything is lined up, because she says in her tutorial that it can get off easily. So I like to line up the bottom with a line on my ruler, on my cutting mat, and make sure that I've got everything going straight. Then I'm going to take this and I want to line up wherever your 45-degree line is on here. You want to line that up on a line as well. That way you're lined up this way, you're lined up this way, and you've got 2 inches. Whoops, I got it upside down. You've got 2 inches that you are going to cut. So they're together. I've got my 45-degree line right there. I found it. It's right here. I just want to make sure it's lined up somewhere so I know it's not crooked. So here's my 45-degree line lined up nicely right there. I've got my 2 inches, 1, 2. I've got this nice and lined up on my cutting mat, and I'm going to cut. And I'm going to cut 4 of these. So there's 1. Then I'm going to cut another one. Once again, line up. Make sure you line that up because that's where it can get a little bit crooked. Everything's good here. There's 2. Once again, same thing, 2 inches, 2 inches. Check my 45, check here. After a while, you can see it. You can tell if it's crooked. But a little bit crooked is not good because that's going to be hard to line up. And then my final one, and if it goes off a little the edge, it doesn't matter because it's larger cut and then you trim back. So there's my other, and my 45 is lined up. And there we go. That piece is discarded. So now we have all these pieces, but we're not done cutting yet. The next thing we need to do, we've got them all lined up just like this. And what it tells you is you're going to cut north to south. Before we were cutting in this direction. Now we're going to cut straight up and down, north to south. So we've got our pieces lined up on the top. And we are going to, let me move this down just a little bit. We're going to cut beginning at the point where our diamond is, the left side, that point. That's our cutting. Now, if it seems like you're cutting something wrong, don't worry about it. It's okay. She says it's not, you don't have to make sure that every point is perfect because you trim it back. So I've got this lined up here on a line, and I've got this part of my ruler right there at the point. I want to make sure that it's just right at that point. Okay. And then I'm going to cut it. There's 1. This is going to make 1 quadrant. So I'm going to set that over here. I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to take this right at that point. Then I want to make sure that everything is straight. My ruler's straight along the top. And I'm going to cut that one. So there's 2. These are all going to be identical because, it's the points of the Lemoyne star. So we want to make sure they're identical. And then we've got 3. I keep them together for no particular reason, just so that I'm going to show you how we lay those out. And then here's our last one, again, lining up. And we want the ruler edge to be right at that point, and we're going to cut again. Okay, so we've got this done. Let's open them up. When we open it up here, we've got these 2 pieces. And then make sure that if you've got all the background fabrics the same, it doesn't matter. But since I have different ones, I want to make sure that I keep the fabrics where they need to be. Now, what's going to happen is we're going to sew this to this. We're going to sew this to this. We just center it. You don't have to, measure it or anything. It just has to look good. Okay, look close. But what we want to do is all of our A sections first and then all of our B sections. So let's just set our B sections aside and we are going to do our A sections. So I've got my B here and I'm just going to show you here just so that you can see how they go. And we're going to sew them. I've already got them sewn together, but I'm going to show you how I did it. So there's 3. This is the beauty of this ruler. I'm telling you, you don't have to be super careful. You do when you make your cuts, but when you do this part now, you're just going to center it, okay? So this one I'm going to take, and I'll show you. I just want to make sure that I have approximately the same amount of wing or dog ear hanging off each end. You don't have to measure it. You just want to make sure that you've got I put a pin in there. Do that one. We're going to do this one. This one. Look, I'm not even, I'm not really paying real super close attention. I mean, you don't want it way off because then it's, it's not going to work. But you want to make sure that it's fairly good. Eyeball it. It looks good. You want to make sure your raw edges are lined up. Okay, now I'm going to take these and put them under the sewing machine. I'm going to start here, and I'm going to sew down 1/4 of an inch here. And then when this is finished, I'm going to put the next one in. You want them all, don't cut the threads in between. You want them all to be hooked together. It just makes for ease and accuracy when you're cutting. So this is how we're going to send them through the sewing machine. Just like this, all the way through, and you'll have a 1/4 inch all the way down. Take your pins out before you get to them so you don't hit them. Then you're going to do the same thing with this side. Now, the sewing for both A and B is exactly the same. It's going to be just like this. We're going to put them through just like this. Now, you can see that they're different because they're mirror images of each other, but we're still going to sew them with the dog ears, evenly spaced, and we're going to send this through the exact same way that we did the section A. And we are not going to cut in between. We're going to just feed them through and then bring them back for pressing. So you'll go ahead and sew this one and sew this one. Now I have already done that. So I'm going to show you that. I did that just so that sometimes it's kind of hard to sew while I'm here. So these are the pieces that are all sewn together. Okay, so I've got A and B. I probably shouldn't have put them together because now they're all hooked together. Okay, so here's A. Now, when we press them, we want to make sure that we've got them all laying the right way. Now, in her instructions, she tells us carefully press the seams as indicated. A pieces will be pressed toward the star point fabric. B pieces will be pressed toward the background fabric. So B background. Okay, so A is going to be pressed toward the star point, which is this side. The star point, remember, is our colored fabrics. So we're going to have everything laying the same. Whoops. And we have the star point fabric on the top because that's what we're pressing toward. So once again, I'm going to put some pressing solution on this. And then I'm going to press this in one direction. We're not pressing these seams open. We're pressing them toward the star point. So there's one towards the star point. They're still hooked together. You can unhook them now. I mean, but you just want to make sure that she says to do it this way, just so that you make sure that you don't press one wrong. You've got them all looking the same. It just helps to keep them all together so that they're all looking the same. You can put your pressing solution on this side or on the back. It doesn't matter. Whatever works for you. And then you want to press it till it's dry. Our last two. And then, of course, we'll do the same thing with the B pieces. So we press toward the star point fabric. And toward the star point fabric. And And then you can cut them with your scissors or cut them with your little cutter thing, whatever you want to do. And these are all ready to be trimmed. So look at, they look messy, right? But they're not. They're wonderful, and they're going to look so good. And if you want, you can run over it again one time. Same thing we're going to do here, only when we do this one, the background fabric is going to be on the top. So here's my background triangle, and that's going to be on the top. And we'll do that same thing. This one's a little bit easier because the piece is smaller, but it's okay. And then we're going to do same thing here. This is the magical part. You're going to love this part, this next part. But see how fast I've done this so far. I mean, this is cutting and everything. This is not just, getting our template and cutting the pieces out and doing our Y seams. So we've got these pieces. Cut those apart. This is my purple hobbies. I love that thing. Okay, so now I've got these pieces all ready to go, and they are ready to be trimmed. This is the fun part. I like this part. This is where we're going to use our trimmer. And I've got a little bit of a glare here, but I'll try my best to keep that out of the picture. You're just going to trim all of them. You're going to look on the ruler and find which piece you are, which size you're using. 3-inch, which is a dashed, 4-inch is a solid, 5-inch dashed, just, you can keep them straight. The even numbers are solid, and we're using the 6. So I'm taking my 6, and this is where we want to trim our pieces back. So we want our 6, this point, to be here, because we're going to trim this edge. Don't do it this way and trim all your background off. That I've done that. Don't do that. So we want to line up our 6 right where the points are. The point is right here. That's the 6, right where that intersection is. This is what's going to make it so perfect. Then we've got this line lined up with this seam, and this line lined up with this seam. Take your cutter, hold it down. Now I'm in an awkward position, so I should use my rotary mat. I'm going to trim here, and then I'm going to trim here. Like I said, I should have used my rotary mat, but I didn't, so here we go. I'm going to line it up again. And we've still got this side to trim off. Okay, so now we have our first trimmed point. We're going to trim all of the points. We're going to trim each one, whether it's the A points or the B points. We're going to do it in the exact same way. We're going to make sure, well, we just don't have a lot of room here, so I can't. We're going to still take our 6 mark, put it right here on the point of the blue. And then maybe if I turn it sideways, no, I can't really. Okay. And then we're going to trim here. And here. So again, do all 8 points. Once you have done all 8 points, then you're going to put your quadrants together, and they fit perfectly. Look at this. Because you have nested the way that you pressed, this is pressed toward the blue, this is pressed toward the background, you can nest these seams right here. So we will do that. We're going to nest this seam right here, and that's where I like to diagonally pin. I start in the seam allowance on this side, and then I pin there, and then you can pin on this side. Actually, since it's a diagonal seam, you don't really have to, but if you want to keep it. Now, this is where you line up your point. This is our trimmed edge. So this is all good to go here. We just want to make sure that we've lined it all up. And then we'll line up this, and we are going to sew on this line. So let me do that. 1/4 inch. So I have sewn that, and when I take a look on the inside, we have our points all lined up nicely. So I'm going to press that. As you can see, I've got one more here. I'm going to do I'm short one, so so I can show you how to put them together. Let me trim this one up too. Oops. And once again, just as a refresher, here and there, don't ever cut like that. Okay. And then once again, we want to make sure that all of these are assembled the right way. So they're going to be assembled this way. Put this one together. Again, it's nested. And then I'm going to go ahead and sew that as well. Okay, and you can see again, we have just these beautiful, beautiful seams that we are going to press open. So I love the look of that nice flat seam when it's pressed open. So you're going to want to take your pressing marker, once again, right along that edge, and then we're going to press that open. Okay, now we have, what we'll do then is, you see, you have those little dog ears that are hanging off there. You're just going to take your scissors and clip those off. That's at that center point. You want to make sure those are clipped off so that when you put everything together, you don't have to deal with those. Okay, so those are together. Now what we're going to do is we're going to sew. I've already done this one. We're going to nest these together, that same spot, and we want to make sure that our center point is also aligned. So what I like to do is take a pin and put it right through the seam and then through this seam right here. And you know, you get good at it after a while, you can see where it's supposed to go. And then I do diagonally pin this one in both directions and remove the pin. Then I use that pin to pin here, nest that seam, and then sew off the end. So let's do that. Okay, and look at that. I mean, this is like gorgeous. Look at how pretty that is there. So we're going to press that open again. And so you can see you've got some pressed open and some are pressed to the side, but they all go together nicely. when you press them the way she tells us to. Deb tells us to. Okay, so now we've got these together and we are ready to connect these. You want to make sure that your points right here are connected, and not, you don't want it on this side, you don't want them cut off on that side, you want it right there. So what I do for that, if you look, you've got two fabrics, a light fabric and a dark fabric. This is the key point right here. You want to sew just below that, because if you sew above it, you're going to cut your points off. If you sew too far below, your points are going to float. So you want it just below that. And what you're going to do, since you have 2 points, you're going to pin them together. So I check on both sides. Did my pin go right through the point? Yes. This one's easy because I can see where it goes. Right through the point. Then I'm going to make sure it's perpendicular. In other words, straight up and down. And I'm going to pin, and you can use this technique on any points that you are sewing together. And then you want to anchor that. So you're going to cross pin it or diagonally pin it on each side of that center seam and remove the pin. Same thing we did here. We want to make sure that we've got those seams nested. And then we are going to make sure that everything is lined up here. We're going to do the same thing on this side. Nest those seams. Oops. And then you're going to sew that 1/4 inch seam all down that side. Okay, I'm sewing kind of in an angle here, so, but it came out good. So here you can see, look at my center. Isn't that perfect? Now you want to, again, press those seams open, that cross seam. And we are in the home stretch here. Again, press it open. Now you can use like a pressing bar. That works really well. And again, I'm in kind of an awkward position here. If I was at my ironing board, it'd be a little easier, but I've got that pressed open, and you want to just some threads. Take a look at that center point. I mean, a lot of times with the Lemoyne star, you'll have a hole in the center, you have all kinds of issues, but that is perfect. It looks so good. The last step is trimming it up. And again, we said we've got more than what we need. If you look here, I've got this lined up sort of. I want to make sure that since it's a 6.5 inch, I want to make sure my 3 1/4 intersects right in the center. And then I have 3 1/4 inches from each seam, 3 1/4 inches this direction, this, and this, which I have. And look at, this is the beauty of this. You can see I still have my 1/4 inch around my points because I'm trimming back. Now, did I work really, really hard to make sure everything was lined up? I really didn't. I do want to make sure that my seam and my cross diagonals on my ruler intersect each other too. That's just another double check. But we're going to trim this back. And that's one of the things with the Quilter Select ruler, you can spin it around. And look at that. Isn't that just beautiful? I mean, this is just like a really fun block. It's so simple to do. You've got all your seams pressed so that they lay really flat. I need to put a little more pressing solution on that. I didn't get a good thing on that. It will be much flatter than that. But as you can see, it comes out so perfect. And whether it's the 6.5 inch, the 3-inch, 3.5 inch, or the 10.5 inch, I just had the best of luck with all of those. So I'm going to turn this back around. I know that was long, everybody. I appreciate your attention on this. Oops. Okay. I forgot how this is supposed to go. Okay, I think that's good. Anyway, so that's that. That is our block. So if you are interested in purchasing the Deb Tucker's Rapid Fire Lemoyne Star Ruler, that's what it's called. That's how you do it. It really goes together quickly and easily. Again, it's a little cumbersome here, so hopefully you got the gist of it. If you do it on your own table in your own big area and you're not cramped in a little small spot, I think you'll have really good luck with it. I know I did with every single block that I did. It was just so simple. So anyway, that's that. I hope you'll join me for the Scrapbusting Challenge. And this is the quilt. So I would love to have you. Be sure and click like or subscribe. If you haven't subscribed to the channel, please do that. We're almost to, I think it's 32,000 subscribers. So I'm pretty excited about that too. But anyway, I'm very grateful that you joined me today. Thank you so much. Thank you for being a part of our Joyful and Merry Quilting community. It's a great group. And I'm really privileged to have you attend and be a part of these sessions. So I'm always trying to be joyful, but I will always be merry. And again, thank you for joining me. We will see you again for daytime quilting next week, if you're interested in that, or night owl quilting 2 weeks from tonight. Hopefully, if you've joined the challenge, we'll see a lot of you in the next 30 days. So thanks again, everybody. Have a wonderful evening.